The Roland Fantom 2019. What can I say? I don't know if any other keyboard workstation has been as polarizing as far as opinions go on the internet. Some people are passionately in love with it, other people hate it. I'm passionately in love with it. It is my #1 keyboard. If I had to get rid of everything else and keep one thing, including my computer, I could make do with just the Roland Fantom. Is it perfect? No. Is anything perfect? No. But it's as close to perfect as a workstation can be. I've owned the Korg N1 back in '98. I owned the Yamaha Motif ES8. There are things about both of those keyboards that I miss, but I can safely say that it is very, very, very good knowing I can move into the future with a keyboard like the Fantom. Its sounds are great. Its features are incredible and so numerous that I don't know where to begin even mentioning them all. I think there are definitely going to be other reviews you'd want to check out on YouTube if you want to know about every single feature. I'm not really here to go over every single feature or every single sound. I could never do that. I don't think anybody could, at least in a YouTube video. You'd need a 20-part series. Guys like Ed Diaz will really cover everything in depth better than I ever could. But what I can definitely tell you is how I feel about the keyboard, what I use it for, what I intend to use it for. Now, before this whole hoopla that's been going on in 2020, my intention for it was as a live keyboard, sequencer, backup band, looper, and I got to use it a little bit live before things kind of shut down, and it was great. Did everything I wanted it to do, and then some. It's almost like some ways it feels like a Roland's greatest hits package. I mean, you've got all the 808 drums, the 909s, the CR78s. You can use the TR Rec recording mode, which is, if you don't know what that is, that's just basically using buttons to layer your sequences for drums or synths. You can record in real time. Has a very Ableton-like loop grid style, which I had to get used to. The limitation so far is that there's 2 time signatures, 3/4 and 4/4, and you can only record up to 32 bars for each section. I believe that in future updates that will be augmented with more linear style recording possibilities. And that's the big thing, is updates. This thing is an update king. Okay. When I first got it, there was no vocoder, there were no supernatural sounds, and now it has the best vocoder I've ever used. I made another video about the vocoder. In fact, I was one of the first on YouTube to show how to use it because that's how excited I was when the vocoder came out. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, the supernatural sounds that they added to it were the basses, some horns, some different ethnic instruments, pianos, and for me, the supernatural electric pianos are some of my favorites. Really enjoy them. The biggest selling point for me, because I believe the Montage and the Korg Kronos are also incredible workstations, and each one has its strengths over the other, and of course each one has its weaknesses. But what really sold me on the Fantom was the greatest hits packaging of the different Juno and Jupiter type of sounds that it came with, and namely the V piano. Very few, I feel, have grasped the capabilities of the V piano. There's been a lot of naysaying regarding that, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Some people like the supernatural pianos better, or even the included PCM sampled pianos. The V piano, like I've said in other videos, you really do have to dig into it. I will say the presets on the Fantom aren't the greatest. They're not the best presets. You have to make your own sounds. You have to be able to make your own sounds if you want to know what this thing is sonically capable of. I'll show you some of the piano sounds that I've made I'm very happy with. The only other piano type of sound I use now is keyscape. If I want a different timbre, different texture, I also use Native Instruments. Alicia's keys for some of the other piano sounds, but mainly I use the V piano. To me, the only thing that could be better than the V piano is an acoustic piano. The way you're able to tune and dial in the character and the pitch on each individual note, and not excluding damper resonance, the lid adjustment. There's just so much to it. And I'll give you a demonstration of some of the sounds I've made. But yeah, I adore the Fantom. It is the hub of all of my music creation these days. Has multiple MIDI outs, MIDI in, CV outs. I can very easily control all the other synthesizers in my studio and layer them all off of the sequencer in the Fantom. And that's what I'm going to get to. One of the biggest pluses of the Fantom that completely trumps any other workstation keyboard that's ever existed is the ease of use, okay? The workflow. It is designed to get in there with your idea, record it, play it, whatever you want to do, and get to music creation. You're not going to spend hours fiddling through menus to get to where you want. The interface is absolutely perfect, in my opinion. As perfect as it can be right now. The Zencore synth engine, the filters on it are incredible. Very high resolution filters. A lot of filters go from, I believe, 0 to 127 as far as their MIDI integers are concerned. This one goes to somewhere around 1,000 something. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. But the filters on it are the best digital filters I've ever heard. On any digital synth, the best digital filters. Variety of filters. Moog style, Prophet style, Jupiter style, voltage controlled style, low pass, high pass, band pass, etc. There's more than that. It's great. You have virtual analog modeling, 2 LFOs per tone. The way it's set up is you have a scene that has 16 slots for tones. Each tone can have up to 4 partials, and that means you can do some immense layering. And I think that's where another one of the real features, undiscovered features of the Fantom, is how to layer some synth tones and make these giant, unheard of, massive patches on a physical keyboard rather than using something like MainStage or Ableton. I find a lot of musicians are leery, especially keyboard players, not so much DJs, but keyboard players are very leery about using computers, laptops live. They're susceptible to all kinds of glitches, lag. Especially if you're playing fast runs, you'll really notice some lag. Even on a high-end laptop, I mean, I have a nice MacBook Pro, 16 gigs of RAM. Pretty much runs perfectly, but I have used it live, and I've had to use those dongles, and the setup isn't very smooth. It doesn't work very well. I feel like I can only call this a part 1 of a review and not a full review because there's just so much to go over. I may not make another review of the Fantom. I may make another review. I have yet to decide that, but I'm going to show you just a little bit of what I've experienced so far with it and why I love it, and it's another 10 out of 10 for me. Kudos to Roland for this invention, and yeah, without further ado, let's go into the keyboard studio and check it out. So the first demonstration is going to be a V piano tone that I've made on the Roland Fantom. I want you to start off by noticing the velocity curve on here. So that's Sig Piano 1. This is lo-fi piano. It's supposed to sound dirty and crunchy. Yes, I really like that one. Rhode Island piano sound. This is a compression piano sound I've made. Obviously, it has heavy compression. So when you add more compression, you lose some dynamics. But sometimes you don't want the dynamics. Sometimes you just want a thick piano sound. Okay, so those are some of my pianos. But I could do a whole video just on the pianos on this thing. So I'm going to try to wrap it up with this character piano sound I made. Now what you can do is edit so deeply this piano sound. I'm going to show you here. You can change the individual tuning for each note as well as the character. So let's just hear D right here. Okay. Now I'm going to just show you all the variables. And that's just for one note. How about the tuning? So now check out what a chord sounds like. It reminds me of, your grandfather, your grandmother's piano that hadn't been tuned or touched in years, and then you go bang on it, and that's the quality of an acoustic piano that I've missed forever, having owned nothing but digital pianos. Being able to play an out-of-tune piano and actually control how it's tuned is, quite frankly, amazing for me. Again, I think one of the most overlooked features of the Roland Fantom is the V piano. It's really, really something. We have a collection of Rhodes sounds that came with the Fantom, and then we have the latest supernatural electric pianos. I like the original Rhodes sounds. Here we go. Not bad at all. Pretty useful. I would sooner use Keyscape for the Rhodes sounds. At least the stock Rhodes sounds. Now the supernatural Rhodes sounds, I like as much as Keyscape. They have their own flavor. And I have a whole bunch here. Here's Mark 1 with modulation delay. Again, you'd have to dial some of these tones to taste. It's not like a Nord where it's just going to sound exactly like a Rhodes right out of the box. But these tones can sound like that. In fact, I gave my Nord Electro 2 to my daughter because this covers, between this and Keyscape, it covers what I need for a Fender Rhodes tone. Anyway, moving on. I've mentioned it in other videos, and of course I'm going to beat a dead horse again and say a synthesizer only sounds as good as you make it sound. If you go off just presets alone, you're missing the big picture. The more a synth allows you to dig in, the more you're going to dig it. This is a tone I made that features some Mellotron tones. In fact, I got 3 layered right here. I'm going to start with just 1. Of course, these are tones that I've edited. let's add some piano in. This sound is called My Jupiter 81. Juno Shifter. JP8 Xmod 2019. Lovely. West End Strings. Saw Eat Tape. You'll understand why when I access the LFO. Phase pad. Joopy Moog pad. Juno Vibe. Juno Vibe 0.1 with the Juno chorus causing that noise in the background. Okay. Here's one of my personal favorites. Saw Sexy Meow 2.5. It's got some pitch modulation or pitch envelope on the attack here. Oh yeah. Okay, so those are some of the synth tones I've made, but there's so much to show here. Here's an example of some of the clav funkiness. And sometimes you can just layer a few and really thicken things up. Now let's layer a few here. So those are some clavs. Clavs are actually quite excellent. I had to once again tweak a few to make them sound my own, and I'm very happy with the collection I have. Even the single tone variations of the clavs are it's pretty. Ain't no other workstation keyboard makes me so happy. All right, sorry. Had to. Pretty dramatic, huh? Strikes. I think you know what song this is. Of course, the greatest song of all time. You're no stranger to sins. You like the filters, and so do I. It's got everything I'm dreaming of. A lovely interface for any synth guy. I'm just gonna tell you what I'm feeling. I know you'll understand. I'm never gonna give you up. I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna turn around, desert you. All right, no more of that. Before I get too carried away, Here is a scene I made that takes all the filter and envelope and LFO controls and they've been assigned to these knobs. Again, there are a lot of things that can be done with this synth, and I would say only maybe 2% of those possibilities have been pursued so far by the majority of folks who own this thing. One of the first sequences I made on here, I've got a 707 and a bunch of different synths. The sequencer on this thing is fantastic. There are some limitations, as I've discussed previously, but anyway, it's a lot of fun to just be able to create the sequence on the fly without having to jump to your computer.